Hi friends, today we will be looking at a question from Web 2022 on geometry progression. Given that 7 minus 2x, 9, 5x plus 17 are consecutive terms of a geometry progression GP with common ratio denoted by r greater than 0, find the values of x. First of all, you should know that a geometry progression or a GP is a special kind of sequence of numbers whose terms, except the first terms, are generated either by multiplication or division of a number known as this common ratio from the terms of the sequence that immediately precedes it. So what it means is that if this set of numbers t1, t2, t3, and so on, tn minus 1, tn are a geometric progression, then the common ratio r is obtained using this formula t2 divided by t1. It will also be the same as t3 divided by t2. It will also be the same as tn divided by tn minus 1. And so if you have terms of a sequence that follows a geometric pattern, 7 minus 2x, 9, 5x plus 17, and they are consecutive terms. In other words, the terms immediately comes after each other. That is to say that this term 9 comes immediately after 7 minus 2x, and 5x plus 17 comes immediately 9. That is to say that if this term is denoted by t1, then this 9 here automatically becomes t2, and this 5x plus 17 automatically becomes t3. That is what it means that these terms are consecutive terms. And since they are consecutive terms, it means that I can use these terms to obtain the common ratio, or I can have that the common ratio r will be obtained by t2 divided by t1. That is 9 divided by t1, 7 minus 2x. This will also be the same as if to say I divide t3, 5x plus 17 by t2, which is also 9. So any two terms, consecutive terms I pick, the ratios will always be the same thing. And if I establish this fact and I decide to cross and multiply, I'll then have that this will multiply this, that is the numerator here will multiply the denominator here. I'll then have that 7 minus 2x multiplied by 5x plus 17 will be the same thing as the numerator here multiplied the denominator here. 9 times 9. And if we should go further to expand this bracket, we are going to get that 7 times 5x, that will give us exactly that 5x. Then 7 times 17, that is plus 7 times 7 is 49. And 7 times 1 is 7. And 7 plus 4 is exactly 11. So this is now 119 minus 2x times 5, x will give us minus 10x squared, and then finally 2x times 17, that will exactly give us this will exactly give us minus 34x. And all this will be the same thing as 9 times 9, which is 81. And so when we arrange this, we are going to get the x squared comes first, minus 10x squared. 35x minus 34x will give us exactly plus x. I'll then have plus 119 minus 81. Yes, now equals to 81. And if we should subtract 81 from both sides of the equation, we're going to get that minus 10x squared plus x plus 119 minus 81 is exactly 0. And we are going to get also that minus 10x squared plus x, then we are going to have 119 minus 81, and that will exactly give us plus, I'm going to have 9 minus 1, that is 8, and then I'm going to have 11 minus 8, and that is 3 to be equals to 0. So at this junction, we have arrived at a quadratic equation in x, and we can go further to solve this quadratic equation in X using factorization method. Of course, if you check the criteria for solving this quadratic equation using factorization method, you see that that condition is satisfied. And so we go further to solve this equation using the factorization approach. So first of all, we are going to multiply the first term here and the last term here. And if you do that, we are going to have minus 10x squared times 38. And this will automatically give us minus 380x squared. So at this junction now, we are going to look for two terms such that when we multiply these two terms together, we are going to get minus 380x squared. But when we add these terms together, we are going to get the middle term here, which is x. And of course, you can also verify that those two terms happens to be 20x and 19x. So if I should multiply 20x and 19x, I'm going to get minus 380x squared. And if I should add them together, I'm going to get x here. So, and if I have achieved this, I'm going to replace this middle term here with these two values. And when we do that, we're going to see that minus 10x squared. So in place of x here, I'm going to replace it by 20x and minus 19x. That is plus 20x minus 19x. Then I'll have plus 38 to be 0. Now at this junction, now we then factorize this equation by grouping. And so we are going to group it this way. Then here, I have 10x here and 10x here. So I can factor it out. I'll then have 10x here. So what will remain here will then be minus x. And what will remain here will then be plus 2. Then here, I can also factor plus 19 here. And when I do that, I have plus 19. What will remain after I factor it out will be minus x plus 2. All this will give us 0. So here I have minus x plus 2 minus x plus 2. I can also factor it out. And if I do that, I'm going to get that minus x plus 2 multiplied by 10x. Then this plus 19 is exactly 0. So at this junction, we have factorized this expression. And if you then apply AB equals to 0 principle, that is that when I have the product of two numbers to be 0, that either one of them is 0 or the other one is 0. And if you should do that, we then have that either minus x plus 2 is equals to 0 or 10x plus 19 is equals to 0. And this will then imply that either at this point now, I can decide to add x to both sides of this equation, and that will mean that 2 is equals to x, or at this point now, I will then subtract 19 from both sides of the equation. I'll then have that 10x is equals to minus 19, and this will then imply that either at this point, so since 2 is equals to x, it also means that x is equals to 2, or I'll then divide both sides of this equation by 10 to get that x is equals to minus 19 divided by 10. So these are the two possible values of x. And if we should replace the x's here with these possible values, you will discover that here now, when x is equals to 2, this sequence will be positive. And if x also is equals to minus 19 divided by 10, this x will also be positive. And if that happens, the ratio here, when x is equals to 2, the common ratio here will be greater than 0. And even when x is equals to minus 19 over 10, the common ratio will also be greater than 0. So therefore, these are the possible values of x. Bye.